There are a lot of key ingredients that go into becoming a top-notch WWE superstar. Start with a solid base of character, add a dash of an electric ring entrance, a sprinkle of cool wrestling gear, and to top it off, you need a finishing maneuver that is both recognizable to the crowd and convincing in the belief that it can put someone down. When stars get it right, it can add the perfect exclamation point to a heart-pounding match. The Undertaker's Tombstone Piledriver, Triple H's double underhook facebuster, the Pedigree, Scott Hall's modified powerbomb, the Razor's Edge. When superstars get it wrong, it's that's it. I'm Singer Siete for 7 Wrestling. Let's take a look at 7 WWE wrestlers who have terrible finishing moves. Now, before we get into this, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and super kick that notification bell. Also, for the purposes of this list, a wrestler's finishing move is something that they use to end matches with on a consistent basis. For example, it could be argued that AJ Styles has 3 different finishing maneuvers because he's been known to get wins with the Styles Clash, the Phenomenal Forearm, and the Calf Crusher. So any one of those moves would be eligible, although none of them are really on this list because they are all pretty cool. Go AJ. Number 1, STF'd. Yeah, we know what you're thinking. John Cena's half-assed Death Valley driver that was formerly known as the FU and is now known as the Attitude Adjustment isn't much to write home about. It's really just a fireman's carry slam, which shouldn't be that much more impactful than a normal slam, but I guess William Regal would probably explain that Cena's own body weight is making the fall with his opponent, so the velocity increases, blah-de-blah. I'm not a math guy, but no, we're talking about the Doctor of Thugonomic Submission Hold, the STF. Popularized for modern audiences by Japanese wrestler Masahiro Chono, the step-over toe-hold face lock can be a devastating-looking finisher. Ideally, it looks like your opponent is being bent into a pretzel with pressure being applied to their legs and their head. But the way John Cena applies it, not so much. Are you squeezing his head with your forearms? What's worse is, when John Cena faced Randy Orton at the 2014 Royal Rumble, Cena put Orton in the STF and it did not look good. And then Orton put Cena in the hold and it looked way better. And just so you think that this isn't just some internet douche thinks he knows better than one of the biggest names to ever do the thing, just know that another biggest name to ever do the thing agrees with me. On a 2014 edition of the Stone Cold Show podcast, shortly after the Randy Orton match, Steve Austin would call Cena out saying, "The STF, you gotta snug that thing up for me, please." Cena said he'd do his best, but man, come on, guy. Number 2, People's Elbows. Speaking of a cool submission hold being done terribly, how is The Rock so good at everything he does? In the ring, on the mic, even on commentary, singing that we're welcome, but he's so bad at that damn ankle sharpshooter. Now, we know that he started doing it at the Survivor Series 1998 that wanted to cap off the Deadly Games tournament with a nod to the previous year's Montreal Screwjob, but The Rock didn't have to keep doing it. Could have just left it on the sideline, and if he had to keep doing it, his buddy Owen Hart certainly could have given him some pointers. However, that's not what we're here to talk about, because outside of the original title-winning Survivor Series, he doesn't really use the ankle shooter that much as a finish. No. We're here to talk about a much more famous and much more beloved maneuver, the People's Elbow. Now, don't get us wrong. We actively love the People's Elbow. The audience clearly does too, but we like it more as a signature move or a setup for the rock bottom, but as a finish, it absolutely sucks. Let's rewind to WrestleMania 18 or WrestleMania X8 if you're nasty. The bout between Hulk Hogan and The Rock that took place that night is one of the most divisive matches of all time. Critics have derided it as a slow, basic match with minimal athleticism. Ooh, ankle shooter. My argument's always been wrestling's about entertainment, and while you won't see a single Canadian Destroyer being used in that match, you can't deny that the fans in the Sky Dome, and arguably all around the world, were tearing their collective faces off with glee. Tomato, tomato, I guess. We're not here to argue that point. What we are here to argue is that finishing such an epic match with a people's elbow simply ain't it. And maybe I'm screwing up my own point, as it obviously didn't hinder anyone's enjoyment of the bout, well, except Dave Meltzer, who thought this match was about half as good as whatever appears on your average Rampage. But once again, no less of an authority than Triple H agrees with me on this. In an interview with BBC One, he said, "Look, I loved working with The Rock, so this is in no way disparaging him at all, but it is the hokiest move ever. You gotta wait for like 20 minutes while he takes off the elbow pad and works the crowd. He runs back and forth and he comes up and drops an elbow on you. Looks like it barely touches you, except that a lot of times the point of his elbow hits you right in the mouth and you come up bleeding and you're like, how could you bust me open on that? Just one of those things, and it's also so funny that you're laughing all the way to the bank with it. Yeah, the move is popular and the crowd loves it. I just don't need it finishing epic matches." Number 3, use your head. Picture this. You're a prominent WWE superstar. You're standing on the top rope. Your opponent is prone on the ground. You're about to deliver your coup de grace. Well, not that coup de grace. Well, maybe that coup de grace. You can do anything from up there. Fist drop, elbow drop, leg drop, big splash, frog splash, shooting star press, twisted bliss, you name it. And instead you think, I'm going to hit that motherfucker with my head. Yes, the skull is a very hard thing to hit people with, but it also contains your brains, which are very delicate, easily injured, and if zombies are to be believed, they're very delicious. Now, if wrestling were real, it might be a good trade-off to use your head if it will mean you pick up an important victory, but wrestling is predetermined, I know, shocking, so maybe use literally anything else. Harley Race, the man credited with inventing the finishing maneuver, reportedly regretted his creation, seeing as the lasting effects it had on his body, and it's the key reason why he was forced into early retirement. And as if that wasn't enough evidence to maybe put this move out to pasture, others who have adopted the finishing move often faced far graver consequences. Tom Dynamite Kid Billington's punishing version of the maneuver caused such severe spinal deterioration that he spent his final years confined to a wheelchair. Similarly, the repeated trauma Chris Benoit endured from executing the move thousands of times throughout his career was cited as a contributing factor to the tragic events surrounding his death. Add to that the fact that the wow factor from that move isn't that much higher than most top rope maneuvers. Is it more impressive than an elbow drop or a splash? Not really. So when we see Chad Gable climbing to the top rope to hit his variation on this big risk, small reward move, come on, man. Just drop an elbow. Number 4, stunning overcomplication. I'll never forget the first time I saw the Stone Cold Stunner. I remember thinking, well, that is pretty dumb. People had been using an over-the-shoulder jawbreaker kind of maneuver for years, and this didn't seem like anything special. And boy, was I wrong, which, happens frequently. The Stunner taught us the belief that a finisher should be quick, impactful, and done on any wrestler at any time. The Undertaker can't hoist Yokozuna up for a tombstone piledriver. He has to use a secondary finisher, that of the fat guy clothesline. But Austin's Stunner, if you've got a neck, he can stun it. And the way it was built up over the years with the biggest names in the industry laying down for it have added such weight to the maneuver over the years. Add to that the way it's almost a badge of honor with who can do the most ridiculous sell for the move. You've got a total winner. My wife, who is newish to wrestling, once said, "So he sits down and then the other guy explodes?" Yes, sweetheart. That is exactly what happens. She also calls Sami Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb the wrestling helicopter. She's a keeper. Which brings us to Grayson Waller and his blunder from down under. I'm sorry, the Rolling Thunder Stunner. What's the hop and roll you're doing there, buddy? And all that setup kind of erases the out of nowhere beauty of the original. It's kind of like a Rube Goldberg Stunner. Yeah, you might want to try something else. Number 5, Triple Threat. We are big fans of Cody Rhodes on this channel. Maybe not necessarily him as an in-ring performer, although there's not much to complain about there either. No. We really respect Cody because it couldn't have been easy to give up a guaranteed WWE paycheck to bet on yourself and leave the company. And his finisher, the Crossroads, it's fine. I'd argue that it isn't as iconic as a Stone Cold Stunner or Yokozuna's Banzai Drop. I might also nitpick that it doesn't feel special because it's one of those moves that kind of got bounced around quite a bit before it became cemented as Cody's finisher. Test used to use something similar called the Test Drive. When Cody was out of the WWE back in All Elite Wrestling, Damian Priest used a variation called the Reckoning. Chris Hero had the Hero's Welcome. It just all makes it feel a little less special. But our big problem with the Crossroads is the fact that Cody hit a rolling version on Roman Reigns to win the WWE Undisputed title at WrestleMania 40. So what's the big deal there? Roman is a generational talent, and Cody probably felt it'd take a little bit more to put him down. Yeah, but he didn't just hit the move 3 times. He used a rolling variation. That seems to say that he could keep hitting that move forever if he felt like, and that would be silly. You just do what you need to do to finish the match, and 60 consecutive Crossroads would be extremely boring. No. Our problem comes when he uses a single Crossroads to defeat AJ Styles a little while later at the Backlash Premium Live event. Now, it stands to reason that a lesser competitor, in storylines anyway, wouldn't require 3 finishers. But that isn't the only reality of the narrative they're presenting. It's also presenting the case that Cody Rhodes doesn't think it'll take more than 1 Crossroads to put AJ Styles down, which does a disservice to the phenomenal one. So yeah, maybe that's a little inside baseball and very, very nitpicky, but hey, it's the internet, what'd you expect? Number 6, The Boss's Bet. Have you ever seen the 1997 action thriller Face Off? It stars John Travolta as FBI agent Sean Archer, who undergoes facial reconstruction surgery so he can impersonate the terrorist Castor Troy, who is played by Nicolas Cage. But oh no! The terrorist manages to escape and has his own facial reconstruction surgery, so now he looks like the FBI agent and goes on to live his life and make sweet amore to his wife. Weirdly, this is all based on a true story. No, it's not. Shut up, Siete. Okay, the point we're getting at here is that in the marketing of the movie, Travolta and Cage would talk about how they challenged each other to really dig deep into their roles, to take their acting to new heights of thespianism. And if you watch the movie, it is so hilariously overacted. It's possible they crawled up each other's butts a little too much. My theory has always been that they were messing with us and that they had set up an overacting contest. The problem was they forgot to set up an end date. I have a similar theory about Bayley and Sasha Banks, the duo who are credited with really opening WWE fans' minds as to what women's wrestling can look like when they had their all-time classic at NXT Brooklyn back in 2015. I believe that at one point they challenged each other to come up with the worst finishing move possible. Bayley started it off with the Bayley to Belly, which is a very basic throw that most wrestlers would use as a transition move. Not great, but still like a move. Then she transitioned to a maneuver she used to use on the indies called the Rose Plant, and I gotta admit, I'm not a fan. Yeah, you're bouncing someone's head off the mat, and that's good, but the setup's awkward. I always kind of forget that that's her finishing move. It's just all very underwhelming. And it doesn't do her any favors that LA Knight, uses a move called the Blunt Force Trauma that is almost a standing variation on the same move. It looks way more devastating. But we gotta say, Sasha is winning the ongoing bad finisher competition at the moment. She used to use the bank statement that was a backstabber where she'd roll over into a submission hold, and that was pretty cool. Since leaving the WWE though, she started using the Monet Maker, I guess. And it's fine, I guess, a convoluted maneuver that ends up in kind of sort of a DDT, but the problem is, when she hits it, it's just okay, and when it doesn't go right, it's a disaster, which is a big deal, because that's usually how the match is ending. You should be able to hit your finish accurately 10 times out of 10, so yeah, Sasha's winning. Balls in your court, Bayley. Number 7, Fist Off. Oh, hey, more John Cena. Opening and closing a list, that's a first. So we said the attitude adjustment was kind of lame, and that his STF is hot garbage. Really, what else is there? Well, before we get into it, we need a bit of a backstory. You know what my favorite fun fact about John Cena is? He learned Mandarin in his spare time. That is insane. Insane. I mean, the fact that the dude even has spare time is insane to start with, but instead of, I don't know, reading a book, fishing, playing a video game, hula dancing, cosplay, hosting family dinners, playing the trumpet, being a dog that pees green slime. I'm sorry, what were we talking about? Yeah, sorry, John Cena learned Mandarin so he could be a better representative for the WWE. On the Impulsive podcast, Cena said, WWE has never been able to penetrate China. They just don't understand it. They think it's a kung fu exposition. They don't know if it's real. With relevancy, we could get some homegrown talent. I was literally trying to use myself as a vehicle to get us over there. First of all, penetrate China. Second of all, that level of dedication is mind-blowing. No wonder he's like the company's favorite son. Cena spent some time in China training with Jackie Chan's team and wanted to incorporate some of that style into his WWE moves, and the Lightning Fist was born. In an interview with Uprock, Cena would say, "So the guys taught me a little bit of Ba Ji Chen, and it's a very fast, very defensive kung fu mechanism, which is meant for close quarter stuff. And I just kind of modified it a little bit and came up with a Lightning Fist." And here it is. Lightning Fist. Oh, and see, he finished a match with it. Weirdest thing about the setup, though, was he used the attitude adjustment to get Elias ready for it. So the move that has finished wrestler after wrestler for years and years, Elias took it, stood right up, so he could get hit with that ugly-looking fist. Oh boy, you know, silly things get over all the time. I'm not here bashing the Cobra or anything, so yeah, it's pretty dumb, but honestly, if he's using it to batter people like Jimmy Fallon, maybe I don't hate it so much. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any other terrible WWE finishing moves? If so, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and rock bottom that notification bell. Till next time, I'm Singer Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.